Trauma changes our central nervous system. What made Anakin vulnerable to the dark side? His borderline personality disorder. What drove that? Trauma. The trauma of slavery. The trauma of being torn from his mother, for he was inducted into the Jedi Order far too late, and if they were really wise, they would have brought his mother along. They would have found a way to buy her freedom and bring her along. The trauma of having his pleas for his mother's well-being fall on deaf ears, and his efforts to rescue her occur a day late and $1 short. The trauma of portentous dreams, just like these dreams of his mother, but this time concerning Padme. But you know what even made it worse? The fall of Anakin is a cautionary tale warning us of the impotence of dogmatism and platitudes in the treatment of borderline personality disorder. We cannot fight our brain with pseudo-spirituality, but we can work with our brain using its own autonomic nervous system, as well as asymmetric bilateral stimulation. So how do we work with our autonomic nervous system? This is wild. Our autonomic nervous system actually occurs outside our skull. It occurs in our spinal cord. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our sympathetic nervous system, which is ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. That's the rib cage area to me and you. Every time, and when we do that, this sympathetic nervous system does not support active concentration. What does it support? Simple perception that is vulnerable and passive and visceral and random. Perception that will allow trauma to rear its scabby head and frighten or enrage or depress us. Well, that sounds horrible. What do we do with that? Well, fortunately, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, which is wired for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. So that's how we process the stuff that comes up. We cooperate with our body that wants to relax into each exhalation. That's the foundation of mindfulness and meditation. But what about this whole asymmetric bilateral stimulation stuff? How does that work? Is that electrodes? Do I gotta reenact that ghastly scene from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest for all my OGs out there? No. In the genius of the Buddha, he taught that we can meditate lying down, we can meditate sitting up, we can meditate standing up, and here it is, wait for it, we can meditate while walking. If we practice the simple meditations that we're going to play with tonight, as we briskly walk around our block, that will bilaterally stimulate our brain. When our body treats a memory, when our body takes a memory and allows it to migrate through the hippocampus into long-term storage, it may be unpleasant, but it is not traumatic. However, when we experience a memory as not a memory, when we experience a memory as a present moment perception, that's trauma. When an event does not pass through or enter our enter our hippocampus. When hippocampus crosses his arms and acts like a bouncer or a doorman on the other side of the velvet rope in front of a dance club and says, no memory, no traumatic event, you need to stay out there, then that which happens is experienced as being in the eternal present moment. However, Just as in reality, if you slip the doorman a C note, or so I'm told, they'll let you in. Likewise, bilateral stimulation can help us process a reluctant hippocampus. So I'll give you an example from my own life. I'm pretty much the poster boy for CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And a difficult time for me is either my birthday or Christmas. Very difficult time for me. What helps me to deal with that is when it comes up, I can't force it, but when it comes up and grabs me by the lapels and shakes me like a French au pair, I give my partner a heads up, let her know that I'm going to do some walking meditation. I'm not mad with her. I just have to process some trauma. At this point, she's used to that. I walk out the door and walk around the block briskly while performing the meditations that we're going to play with tonight. I limit myself to walking around the block because when you are disoriented, when you're wrestling with trauma, it can undermine our experience of the present moment, and you don't want to walk into traffic. So you don't want to get lost. So limiting yourself to walking around your own block is great. Now, does that mean the past is healed and it's completely forgotten? No, but it helps us to deal with it. But not everybody feels safe walking around the block in the middle of the night, or when it's too cold, or when it's rainy. So what happens then? Simple. As you sit in meditation, you can alternately tap your kneecaps, not both at the same time, but right, left, right, left, right, left, while you're meditating, and it'll help to massage. If you can't do that, if you have a bad back and tapping your knees is painful, then you can tap your elbows, boom, 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 boom. If you have cervical trauma and that's not possible, no problem. You can close both your eyes and take turns opening first one eye and then the other eye. Perhaps as you breathe in, you can open up your right eye. Perhaps as you breathe out, you can close your right eye and open your left. Right, left. Now, could that tire you out and make you need to take a nap? It might, but that's okay. But it's going to give you the asymmetric massage that can help coax your hippocampus to process what's going on. Let's be honest. Star Wars is fiction. It's compelling, but it's fiction. Anakin had to become Darth Vader to drive the movies. Sad but true. But within the fictional universe of the galaxy that George built, it seems most likely that the contemplative instruction that Anakin received was inadequate to meet his needs. I have a bunch of needs. I have CPTSD. I have, what's it called? Fetal alcohol syndrome, birth trauma brain damage, autism, ADHD, and all of that was exacerbated by my exposure to the Epstein-Barr virus. And yet, despite all that, pious fools told me that if I just loved Jesus enough, or if I just followed Buddha more closely, I would be able to transcend all my petty difficulties, and that my petty difficulties were an indictment against me. Those people might not have been malicious. They might have just been lazy-minded. But at the very best, they were not helpful. And at the very worst, they compounded the trauma. My experience is not unique. The internet is full of people sharing their religious trauma and their fundamentalist deconstruction experiences. Fundamentalism is not unique to Christianity. Wherever there are humans who value being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, competitive, cryptic, and cruel, there will be religious abuse. Wherever there are individuals who value being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, there will be hope. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after, approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This evening, we're going to play with the latest iteration of Atisha's concise sadhana for Green Tada. So it was composed a very long time ago, probably around the 10th century by Atisha. In the last decade or two, it was translated from the Tibetan into English by Lama Okunga Tartse Rinpoche, and it's been adapted and amplified by yours truly. What we're going to do is we're going to begin with Completion Stage Tantra's energy work of calling the Lama from afar. We play with this quatrain. We do not treat it, literally. We use it as an exercise. We use these words as tools to influence our experience of real or imagined energy that gathers at our crown to assist us in meditation. Let's chant. Lama Drojang, please come to this crown and lavish me with the attainments of the conventional and ultimate. As children, most likely the first bicycle we received had training wheels, and although they were clunky, they got the job done. Similarly, this evening's first meditation is also going to be clunky. We call it Ati Yoga Tantra, and it is nothing more than a fancy term for the mindfulness and meditation that are the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the 12-syllable phrase, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. This is not an affirmation, for it deals not with belief nor magical thinking. This is an accurate and honest description of what's going on. We silently and mentally recite it to help us to leapfrog over the preconceptions that we have been spoon-fed. And so now together as a team, let's practice. And now we're going to perform recitations to help us exercise the neural pathways responsible for bodhicitta's empathy. I'm sorry, for the empathy of bodhicitta and the enthusiasm of refuge. Our first recitation is rather literal, and we're going to apply it to a triplet chant together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. These three nouns are so useful that they've earned the metaphoric nickname of the three wish-fulfilling jewels, kind of like Aladdin's lamp. We're going to play with the same ideas using concise verbiage and figurative language set to a bookend chant, which is our go-to chant, really. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. "50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. 75% of loving kindness is all about kindness. Kindness of communication, kindness of conduct, kindness of commerce." We're reminded of this with the following recitation. May everyone be free from suffering. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. We're now going to demystify emptiness. Let's chant. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a beautiful cloudless morn, which although compelling to the eye is not graspable to the hand. Here is a traditional explanation in Sanskrit. Om Soba Washuddha Sarva Dharma Soba Washuddhoham. And here's literal translation. Om, all phenomena, including myself, appear outside of conventional existence. Everything becomes as non-graspable as emptiness. How very opaque. Fortunately, I was taught the yoga of inconceivability, which makes sense of this. Let's explore it together. The Buddha was fond of organizing all things, beings, and phenomena in terms of the four bases of mindfulness: the circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, and the mental. We're going to explore that right now, beginning by exploring the circumstantial dance of impermanence and interdependence. We're going to begin by verbally chanting a rhetorical question. We're then going to take that idea and make it condense and recite it silently and mentally. The first half during our inhalation, the second half during our exhalation. What could it look like if all circumstances or lots was fully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this body or form? Something just occurred to me. Please bear with me. I'm going to change the verbiage here and use a synonym. All right. Now let us explore the physical dance of impermanence and interdependence. What could it feel like if all forms or bodies blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this communicational speech? Now let us explore the interpersonal dance of impermanence and interdependence. What could it sound like if all interpersonal speech blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this mind? And we conclude with the mental dance of impermanence and interdependence. What could it be like if all minds blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into a vast empty void? Voidness is just a metaphor we use to explain that no matter how poignantly we might perceive things as we breathe in, every time we relax into our exhalation, that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less graspable, could feel less solid, could feel less independent, could feel less permanent. So to exercise this, we're going to play with this evening's first of 9 mantra meditations. As we inhale, we're going to silently and mentally recite the rhetorical question, how relax into the awareness of this. During our exhalation, we're going to physically relax as best we can while chanting this 10-syllable mantra. Om Tare Du Dare Du Re Su Om Dare 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 Du Dare Du Re Su Now let us remove the first of 2 metaphoric training wheels and transform our contemplative exercise from 12 syllables down to just 3. We're going to play with the synonym Ati Yoga Tantra. During our inhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite, notice this. During our exhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite, relaxing. Now it's time for sensations centering contemplation, also known as Bindu Mahamudra's energy work. From the emptiness which appears, take two. From the emptiness appears a syllable, palm which transforms into a lotus seed. On the top of this appears a syllable, which transforms into a moon seed the size of a thumbnail, on which this mind appears in the form of the green letter T, the size of a mustard seed. Why are we going to contemplate the iconography of an archetype? Because that's how we're going to that is how we're going to organize the 8 metaphors that are integral to the remainder of this evening's mantra meditations. Together. Now in the aspect of a green syllable, Tamela that make offerings to all the Buddhas, thus empowering the possibility of benefiting all sentient beings. May the rays and reabsorb into this mind and thus become like the archetype Tata of the rosewood forest. Her body is comprised of green light. She has 2 hands and 1 face. Her right hand resting on her right knee is in the giving mudra. Her left hand is at her heart with her with the ring finger and thumb pressing together, holding the stem. Pressed together, holding the stem of the blue pala flower which blossoms at her left ear. She is peaceful, smiling, and fully matured. She is adorned with all the precious garments and ornaments. Her left foot is taken and her right foot is slightly extended. Now it's time for now it's time for some more of Tikli Drop's energy work. I like to call this Buddhist hand jive. Please hold your hands before your forehead. Tata's back rests against a full moon, thrown on her forehead is the syllable Om. Oh, that's weird. Let me fix this real quick. We now remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels. During the inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During the exhalation, we silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. If you've just joined, welcome aboard. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in the chat window. We will then ignore the question until we notice it, point at it, and laugh. Untaught is what is the syllable. So we breathe, oopsie. So now together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as Yoda on Dagobah under the guidance of the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. Now as we breathe in, once again, let us silently and mentally recite the rhetorical question, how relax into the awareness of this? During the exhalation, let's again intone the syllable. Aha. Un, deux, trois. Whoopsie, that was exciting. That is just bizarro. So let's hit this right here. Okay, that should stop the bizarreness. Oh, gods of Microsoft Word, hear us. Okay. Let's place our hands before our sternum. And on the sternum is a bone. Let's see if this works. Cowabunga. Now let us let us transcend egalitarianism's duality of us and them. From the sternum whom may not raise emit and invoke all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, each in the form of green Tara. Om Benza Samaya Zahum Bam Ho. May all these items absorb into one's pores. Now going to contemplate empowerment's Anu Yoga energy work. Again from the seats of the honest and mela tracing it and invoke the 5 initiating jhana Buddhas. Now we recite Om Vajrasamaya and make the request. Please, all Buddhas, bestow on me all empowerments. Then the Tathagata say Om Sarva Tathagata Abhishika Samaya Shriyahum. Having spoken thusly, they pour water from a vessel on top of our heads. The water goes throughout our bodies, purifying our physical and karmic defilements. It fills up our bodies to the top of our heads. Now it's time for completion stage, pause, transference of consciousness. Then, in preparation for the inevitability of death on the top of our heads, appears a Nimanakaya form of Amitabha. Amitabha. Oh, look at that. So we're now going to play with the idea, the sensory experience of awareness and letting go. I offer the experience of wisdom, lots appearing at us, not graspable as a void. Om Shamatara Dashe Bodhi Sohum Soham. I offer the experience of wisdom, sense fragrant, yet as not graspable as a void. Om Shama Samaya Gandhi Bodhi Sohum Soham. I offer the experience of wisdom, sounds resounding, yet as not graspable as a void. Om Shamaya Tara Vini Bhati Sohum Soha. I offer the experience of wisdom, taste flavorful, yet as not graspable as a void. Om Shama Tara Rase Bhati Sohum Soha. I offer the experience of wisdom, feeling sensual, yet as not graspable as a void. Om Shama Tara Bhashe Pati Sohum Soha. I offer the experience of wisdom, thoughts lucid, yet as not graspable as a void. Om Shama Tara Dharme Pati Sohum Soha. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist meditation, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Now we're ready for some mantra meditations. We begin with Bindu Mahamudra's energy work. At one spot on the moon-sea there is a green syllable tam, surrounded by the 10 syllables from tare to re soha. The Dharani of the mantra's meaning. Oma Majutara, the swift encourages you drive away all fears with Tutari. Heroin fulfilling all aims with Turi. With this audible soha we offer homage. It's time for a bit of the old Tikle Drops energy work. From these audibles may raise up light, emit and make offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, us empowering our ability to benefit all sentient beings. May all the powers, blessings, and love of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas manifest in the forms of rays of light, which absorb into the mantra rosary, encircling the hot seed syllable we emitting out our pores to benefit all beings. We now recite the mantra 108 times as much as possible. But first we rest the mind. So we're going to divide these 8 mantra meditations into 2 sets of 4. The first 4 is all about love and letting go. May all minds of all beings now be as peaceful and wise as the mind of a Buddha of laws and balas by a one cerebral city clay or bija mantra. Again, as we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite our wishing intention. As we exhale, we physically relax as best we can while chanting this 10-syllable mantra. Om da de do da de do de so om da de da de do de so om da de da de do de so om da de da de do de so om. Om da de do da de do de so om da de da de do de so om da de da de do de so om da de da de do de so om. Om da de da de do de so 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 om. Om da de da de do de so 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 om. May all beings interpersonal experience of communication or speech not be as joyful and loving as a real or imagined Buddha's communication symbolized by the sensible mantra. May all bodies or forms of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thought of the blissful body of a yidam of lower and archetype of enlightenment. Da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om. Om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so May all circumstances or lots of all beings now have their safety, good fortune, and boon. As a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land or party. Da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so om da de do da de do de so For the remaining 4 mantra meditations, we're going to practice awareness and letting go. How is it that as we inhale, all circumstances or thoughts could appear quite vivid? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise or vati of light. Why do we use similes? Because we're wired to think symbolically. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. How is our circumstance like the paradise of the archetype? Because both are seen, yet non-graspable. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. How is our body like the real or imagined body of the archetype? Both our bodies can be felt as we breathe in, and as we breathe out, they could feel non-graspable. How is it that as we inhale, all bodies or forms could feel quite sensual? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined octuple yedom of light. Om da de do re so wa. 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 Let's bring the interpersonal into the path of Maha Yoga. How is it that as we inhale the interpersonal experience... Oopsie, let's try this again. How is our communication similar to the communication of the real or imagined archetype? Both our communications can be perceived and released. How is it that as we inhale the interpersonal experience of communication, our speech could be quite resounding? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined mantra of light. Om da de do re so wa. 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 How is our mind similar to the mind of the real or imagined archetype of enlightened activity? Simple. Our minds are clear, yet not graspable. How are our minds clear? We're able to notice our mind's perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. And yet, as we exhale, they can feel rather not graspable. How is it that as we inhale, we could perceive our mind's functions quite clearly? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined considerable time of light. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. Om da de do da de do de su wa. This is this evening's final meditation. Let's make it count. Let's seal this evening's practice with a bit of the old loving wishes. May the common and supreme attainments of magical powers and full enlightenment be lavish upon all sentient beings and myself. Through our recitation and meditation, may all sickness, poverty, and warfare be completely pacified, and may all dharma and good omens be all pervasive. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 and 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.